Everyone has heard that those who are healthier and more fit don't skip breakfast. But does this imply eating breakfast helps us lose weight and become healthy, or is there another benefit? One of the most overused sayings in the armory of exhausted parents everywhere, along with old standbys like carrots give you night vision and Santa doesn't bring toys to unruly children, is that breakfast is the most crucial meal of the day. Even though, according to the Association of Britain Dietitians, just 2/3 of adults in the UK and roughly 3/4 of Americans usually eat breakfast, many of us grow up believing skipping breakfast is a culinary disgrace. The name of the meal gives us a hint as to its significance. Breakfast is recommended to break our overnight fast. Over the night, the body uses a lot of its energy reserves for development and repair. Having a healthy breakfast boosts our energy and provides the protein and calcium we need for the night. Nonetheless, there is strong dispute regarding whether breakfast should continue to hold the top position in the hierarchy of meals. There have been worries about the sugar content of cereal, the food industry's involvement in studies that support breakfast, and even one academic assertion that breakfast is hazardous, in addition to the growing popularity of fasting diets. So what's the reality? Is breakfast an important way to start the day, or a cereal manufacturer's marketing gimmick? The most extensively studied feature of breakfast has been its associations with obesity. Several scientific hypotheses explain why there is a connection between the two. In one U.S. study, researchers discovered that those who made breakfast the largest meal of the day were more likely to have a lower body mass index than those who ate a substantial lunch or dinner. The study examined the health information of 50,000 people over the course of 7 years. The researchers made the case that breakfast improves the quality of our diet since morning foods are frequently higher in fiber and nutrients, lowers daily calorie intake, and improves insulin sensitivity at subsequent meals, which can lessen the risk of developing diabetes. It was not obvious, however, whether this was the cause or whether breakfast skippers were simply more prone to be overweight in the first place, as with any study of this kind. Researchers conducted a study in which 52 obese women participated in a 12-week weight loss regimen to find out. Everybody consumed the same number of calories throughout the day. However, only half of them ate breakfast. They discovered that modifying individuals' regular routines, rather than breakfast per se, was what made them lose weight. When they quit eating breakfast, the women who had previously indicated in the survey that they typically ate breakfast lost 8.9 kilograms, as opposed to 6.2 kilograms in the morning group. When they started eating breakfast, people who typically skipped it lost 7.7 kilograms. When they continued to avoid it, they lost 6 kilograms. Why is there a connection between obesity and skipping breakfast, since breakfast by itself isn't a guarantee of weight loss? According to Alexandra Johnstone, a professor of appetite research at the University of Aberdeen, the reason may be as simple as the fact that people who skip breakfast tend to be less informed about nutrition and health. There are many studies on the association between breakfast eating and potential health outcomes, but this may be because those who eat breakfast choose to routinely engage in health-improving behaviors like not smoking and frequent exercise, the author notes. There is limited evidence supporting or refuting the claim that breakfast influences weight or food intake. According to a 2016 review of 10 studies looking into the relationship between breakfast and weight management, more research is needed before breakfast recommendations can be used to help prevent obesity, the review's authors concluded. Intermittent fasting, which involves fasting overnight and into the next day, is gaining ground among those looking to lose or maintain their weight or improve their health. For instance, a 2018 pilot study revealed that intermittent fasting decreases blood pressure, enhances insulin sensitivity, and improves blood sugar control. 8 pre-diabetic males were given one of two eating plans: either consume all calories between 9 and 15, or consume the same amount of calories over the course of 12 hours. According to Courtney Peterson, the study's author and assistant professor of nutrition sciences at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, the outcomes for the 9 to 15 group were found to be comparable to those of blood pressure-lowering medication. However, due to the study's modest size, more analysis is required to determine any potential long-term advantages. Does skipping breakfast make breakfast unhealthy if skipping other meals and eating outside of set hours could potentially be beneficial? According to one expert, breakfast is hazardous since it causes our cortisol levels to peak earlier in the day than they do later. Over time, this makes the body more resistant to insulin, which can result in type 2 diabetes. Professor of Metabolic Medicine at the Oxford Institute for Diabetes, Endocrinology, and Metabolism Frederick Karp contends that this is untrue. Instead, increased cortisol levels in the morning simply reflect our body's natural circadian pattern. Furthermore, he claims that breakfast is essential for reviving our metabolism. You need an initial trigger involving carbs responding to insulin in order for other tissues to respond well to food consumption. Breakfast is essential for this to occur, according to Karp. 18 persons with diabetes and 18 controls participated in a randomized control experiment that was published in 2015. The results showed that skipping breakfast altered both groups' circadian rhythms and increased blood glucose increases after meals. The researchers come to the conclusion that eating breakfast is crucial for maintaining the proper timing of our body clock. According to Peterson, those who skip breakfast can either skip breakfast and eat supper at a regular time, reaping the benefits of intermittent fasting even if they skip breakfast, or skip breakfast and eat dinner later. The risk of obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease increases dramatically for people who eat dinner later. Although it can seem like breakfast is the most significant meal of the day, she suggests that it may actually be dinner. We have the best blood sugar management in the morning. We are most vulnerable after a late dinner because our blood sugar is at its lowest. Even though there is still more research to be done, I'm sure you shouldn't skip breakfast and eat dinner at a late hour. According to her, we should consider our circadian rhythm to be an orchestra. Our circadian clock consists of two components. The brain houses the master clock, which we should imagine as the conductor of an orchestra, and every organ houses the other half, each of which has its own clock, she claims. And two external factors, exposure to intense light and our eating habits, set the orchestra. The clocks that regulate metabolism are in different time zones if you eat when you aren't exposed to intense light, which leads to confusing messages about whether to rev up or down. According to Peterson, this is the reason eating late affects blood sugar and blood pressure levels because it is similar to two parts of an orchestra playing two separate melodies. The mechanics underlying how the time we eat affects body weight are the subject of study being conducted by scientists from the universities of Surrey and Aberdeen. According to preliminary research, eating a larger breakfast helps with weight management. Many factors than merely weight have been linked to breakfast. A 27% higher risk of heart disease, a 21% higher risk of type 2 diabetes in men, and a 20% higher risk of type 2 diabetes in women have all been linked to skipping breakfast. One explanation could be the nutritional importance of breakfast, which is partly due to the vitamin fortification of cereal. In one investigation of the breakfast habits of 1,600 young adults in the UK, researchers discovered that those who consistently ate breakfast had higher intakes of fiber and micronutrients like folate, vitamin C, iron, and calcium. Similar findings have been made in Australia, Brazil, Canada, and the US. Improvements in language and attentiveness are also linked to eating breakfast. Breakfast can help with memory, according to a study of 54 studies, but the impacts on other aspects of brain function were not clear. But Mary Beth Spitznagel, one of the review's researchers, claims there is reasonable evidence that breakfast improves concentration. Additional study is merely needed. The number of studies that found a benefit when testing concentration was exactly the same as the number that found no advantage, according to her. And no research has shown that eating breakfast hinders focus. Some contend that what we eat at breakfast is the most crucial factor. According to research by the Australian Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation, high-protein breakfasts have been found to be particularly helpful in lowering food cravings and consumption later in the day. Investigation into the sugar content of adult breakfast cereals found that some cereals contain more than 3/4 of the daily recommended amount of free sugars in each portion, and that sugar was the second or third highest ingredient in 7 out of 10 flaked cereals. Yet, some studies indicates that it's preferable to consume sugary foods first thing in the morning. One study discovered that the body's fluctuating levels of the appetite hormone leptin throughout the day are correlated with our lowest tolerance for sweet food in the morning. And Tel Aviv University researchers discovered that hunger is best controlled in the morning. They enlisted 200 obese adults to participate in a 16-week diet in which half had dessert for breakfast, and the other half did not. Dessert-eating participants dropped an additional 40 pounds on average, but the study was unable to demonstrate any long-term effects. There is currently no agreement on the type of breakfast that is healthier, according to an analysis of 54 studies, so simply eating something is more important than the specific breakfast. The general opinion is that we should pay attention to our bodies and eat when we are hungry, despite the lack of clear information regarding exactly what and when we should be eating. For those who wake up hungry, breakfast is crucial, according to Johnstone. For instance, research shows that those with prediabetes and diabetes may find they have better concentration after a lower GI breakfast such as porridge, which is broken down more slowly and causes a more gradual rise in blood sugar levels. Every person begins the day in a different way, and an expert argues that these individual variations, particularly in glucose function, need further study. In the end, the secret might lie in being careful not to place too much focus on any one meal, and instead paying attention to how we eat throughout the day. A nutritious breakfast is quite beneficial, but experts argues that eating regularly throughout the day is more crucial for maintaining stable blood sugar levels, which in turn helps with appetite management. Not just breakfast should be prepared correctly,